The U-Haul was half unloaded, baking under the relentless July sun when the screaming started. I hadn't even been parked for 10 minutes, just long enough to drag the antique mahogany desk off the ramp and directly across the mouth of my own brand-new driveway, the one I just closed on 2 days prior. Was it even possible for a human voice to reach that decibel level without shattering glass? "Move that trailer right now. You are blocking my access, you absolute inconsiderate sloth," shrieked a woman I instantly recognized, thanks to countless neighborhood warnings, as the resident Karen of Riverbend, Mrs. Darlene Sterling. My foreman, a man built like a fire hydrant named Gus, paused mid-lift, sweat dripping from his brow onto the oak floorboards. He shot me a look that said, "Seriously? Already?" I sighed, a long, weary exhalation that tasted like dust and impending bureaucratic doom. This was supposed to be the peaceful, quiet part of my move, the moment when I set up my new home office before reporting to Central Command next week. Instead, the air was thick with the sticky humidity of late summer and the sharp, cheap perfume of indignation. I wiped my hands on my jeans, trying to maintain the cold, professional veneer that years of military service had forged. "Ma'am," I began, my voice deliberately low and calm, "I just bought this house. I'm moving a very heavy item, and I'll be done in literally 3 minutes. This is my property." Her eyes, magnified by cheap reading glasses perched on her nose, bulged. "I don't care who you are or what you bought. This street is reserved for resident parking, and you are obstructing traffic and creating a public hazard. Do you know how much I pay in homeowners association fees here? This is Riverbend, not some trailer park." She stomped her foot, the sound muffled by the newly cut lawn, releasing a sharp, clean scent of crushed chlorophyll that contrasted violently with her foul mood. "Riverbend," she'd said, as if that magically granted her the right to dictate my immediate logistics. Was she truly this entitled? Or was this some kind of initiation ritual for new residents? I leaned against the U-Haul's hot metal side, feeling the energy drain out of me. "Look, Mrs. Sterling, I understand your concern, but I need these 30 seconds to roll this desk inside. Once it's in, the truck is moving. Is that really an issue?" I gestured to the 2 burly men struggling to maneuver the cumbersome antique. That only enraged her further. "An issue? An issue? You clearly don't respect the rules or the decent people living here. I'm calling the police right now. You'll find out what kind of issue this is when you get a massive fine and the homeowners association sees fit to revoke your right to even paint your shutters." She snatched a gold-plated smartphone from her purse and began aggressively punching numbers, her lips tight with triumphant malice. Gus stopped and stepped back, shaking his head. "Looks like she's really going through with it, Commander," he murmured, his voice laced with amusement. I froze. Commander. I hadn't officially used my rank outside of the base in months. I straightened up, pushing my dusty baseball cap back slightly, suddenly aware of the formal weight of the title. I decided to wait, let her play her game, let the system do its work. What did I have to lose? I was legally parked, legally moving in, and legally standing on the threshold of my own home. I grabbed a bottle of water, took a long, slow gulp, and watched the drama unfold with a detached curiosity, almost like watching a low-budget movie on a Saturday afternoon. The only sound, besides the distant, persistent drone of a leaf blower 3 streets over, was the ragged sound of Karen's breath, labored from her self-inflicted hysteria. 10 minutes later, the unmistakable wail of a siren approached, cutting through the suburban stillness. 2 officers pulled up, lights flashing, bathing the pristine street in a dizzying red and blue strobe show. Karen practically ran towards the patrol car, arms flailing, already rehearsing her victim monologue. "Officer, thank God you're here. This man is an absolute menace. He's blocking the entire street with his filthy truck and illegally parked a piece of furniture in my way. I can't get my Lexus out. He refuses to move. He says he's the owner. But who buys a house and causes this much trouble?" One officer, a tall, serious-looking man named Johnson, approached me with a practiced, tired gait. "Sir, we have a report of obstruction of private property and public safety hazard. Can I see your license and registration, please?" I nodded calmly, reaching into my wallet. "Absolutely, officer," I replied, maintaining a steady, professional gaze. "I believe I have the right to park on my own property, but since she insists, perhaps you can clear this up." I handed him my driver's license and then, slowly, deliberately, I presented my official U.S. military identification card. I watched his eyes track from my face to the card, and then to the small, subtle inscription on the bottom left corner. The moment his gaze locked on the rank and designation Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Central Command, the transformation was instantaneous and profound. The officer's shoulders visibly snapped back, and his entire posture shifted from casual annoyance to formal respect. The simple action was a silent, powerful confirmation of authority and duty. "Lieutenant Colonel," he said, his voice flat and deferential, "thank you for your service. Is this a temporary staging of command equipment for your residence here in Riverbend?" He was using the correct, specialized military jargon, a nod to the gravity of my position. Karen, hovering like a mosquito waiting for a blood meal, had been watching the exchange, a smug, satisfied smirk plastered across her face. But as the officer said the words Lieutenant Colonel and Central Command, her expression didn't just fall. It shattered. The color drained from her face faster than a tide going out. Her jaw went slack. She froze, mid-breathe, her phone still in her hand, looking like a poorly staged wax figure melting under the intense heat of reality. The triumphant malice evaporated, replaced by a pure, gut-wrenching dread. It was the look of a playground bully who had just realized their target was the principal's son. Officer Johnson turned his attention to her, his previous patience replaced with a cool, official hardness. "Mrs. Sterling," he stated, his voice now crisp and uncompromising. "The lieutenant colonel is temporarily obstructing his own private driveway to offload essential, heavy property into his newly purchased residence. He is a high-ranking member of the armed forces moving into a designated area. This is neither a public hazard nor an obstruction of private property. You just wasted our time and potentially interfered with a military commander's official logistics." He took a sharp, small breath. "Given the frivolous nature of this call, and the documented pattern of misuse of emergency services in the Homeowners Association complaints we have on file for this address," he continued, holding his ticket book aloft, "I believe we're going to have to issue you a citation for misuse of 911 services, effective immediately." The paper fluttered as he tore off the ticket, a small, satisfying sound of justice being served, a final, bitter twist of the knife for her entitled behavior. As she sputtered, her voice reduced to impotent, whimpering protests, I simply nodded to Officer Johnson, gave him a small, respectful salute, and returned to my foreman. "Gus," I said, picking up the dolly handle, the metallic clang echoing the finality of the confrontation. "Let's move this desk. We've got a command to run." The irony was delicious. She called the police to assert her control over a few square feet of pavement, only to have her own sense of authority crushed by the reality of genuine rank and duty. Respect is earned, not demanded through a high homeowners association fee. And when you pick a fight, you better make sure you're not going up against someone who has spent a lifetime serving something bigger than themselves. That day, in Riverbend, entitlement learned a painful lesson. Sometimes, the person you try to tear down is the one standing on solid ground, ready to serve a slice of sweet, decisive karma.